On February 13th, ticket sales from animated blockbuster哪吒 2 smashed through the 10 billion RMB mark, approximately $1.6 billion US, making it not only China's highest grossing film of all time, but also the first non-Hollywood entry into the top 10 Hall of Fame in terms of global box office. The film, adapted from a 16th century Chinese fantasy novel set in the era before 1st millennium BC, surpassed iconic films of the Star Wars and Harry Potter franchises, challenging Hollywood's domination in the global film market. What's even more interesting is that China's homegrown box office sensation can be viewed in the light of fighting against imperialism. In summary, the movie tells a story of gods and demons. A group of immortals formed a religious sect called the CHANG sect and tasked themselves with the duty of civilizing demon spirits. They crushed rebellious monsters with an iron fist and enticed obedient ones into servitude with the promise of becoming gods through reforming their souls. The protagonist,哪吒, although born to human parents, had demonic blood and was prepared to walk the same path of redemption. However,哪吒discovered that the subjugated monsters were not reformed, but instead thrown into the alchemy furnace to create elixirs to empower the leader of the CHANG sect. To justify capturing more monsters and eliminating political opponents who had already surrendered, the CHANG sect massacred an entire human city, framing the dragons, chief among the monsters, for the atrocity. Upon discovering the truth,哪吒exposed their true nature and joined the demonic resistance to overthrow the divine oppressors. Many fans are excited to present theories about the film being a political allegory for the real world. Some even consider it a direct mockery of American hegemony. The token worn by CHANG sect followers features a spread eagle, nearly identical to the coat of arms of the United States. The furnace used to purge demons is marked with the dollar symbol, and in the final confrontation,哪吒says, "You claim to be the beacon of the world, but all you do is bully the weak and wreak havoc." A line widely interpreted by Chinese audiences as a not-so-subtle derision of the US, a country often self-proclaiming to be the beacon of democracy. Conventional wisdom has it that since young children are the main target audience of animated films, commercial interest would dictate that film studios must clean up traces of the adult world, because parents want for their children sterilized fairy tales without any political controversy. However, surprisingly, many Chinese parents, fully aware of these metaphors, still encourage their children to watch the film, some even repeatedly. According to Beijing Business Daily, many parents are attending with their children, with more than 30% of ticket orders being group orders. Why would Chinese parents encourage their children to watch this anti-American film? The reason is simple. They see the deception of the CHANG sect much like how the US has manipulated China and other developing countries to prolong its dominance, and they want their children to be clear-eyed about how the world works. The US claims to champion freedom, democracy, and equality, yet what the world has witnessed is how it attempts to kill all of those values. For America's assault on free trade and free market competition, look no further than its trade war against China and the TikTok ban. When it comes to democracy, the US never hesitates to take down democratically elected leaders who don't take orders from Washington. For example, they enabled Chile's military junta to murder President Allende. As for equality, repeated police brutality against people of color, such as in the case of George Floyd, and the support of apartheid and genocide in Palestine on the international stage speaks volumes about US hypocrisy. During his first term, Trump launched the China Initiative, a witch hunt for Chinese spies in American research institutions. Last year, it led to the tragedy of Jane Ying-Wu, a Chinese-American neuroscientist with nearly 2 decades-long professorship at Northwestern University and outstanding contributions to curing brain cancer and dementia. She took her own life after the US government forcibly took her lab. Ironically, in her doctoral dissertation, Wu wrote, "Dedicated to the memory of martyrs of June 4th, 1989, which is widely seen in China as a failed color revolution instigated by the US." That statement was unmistakably her pledge of allegiance to America. Yet it wasn't enough to earn herself a pardon for the grave sin of being Chinese by ancestry. The underclass is bound to revolt against the hierarchy if they cannot be accepted into a proper place. This is the core message of哪吒. In the film,哪吒ultimately chooses to take pride in his own identity because he realizes that morality and status are not determined by blood. Gods are more despicable than monsters, so long as what lies under the veneer of nobility is exploitation, which is the core of imperialism. At the end of the movie, after humans and monsters defeated the CHANG sect and sent its followers fleeing back to its heavenly den, some monsters chose to seek refuge away from the ruinous world.哪吒, however, said he would stay and continue to resist. The Dragon Prince asked哪吒, "Do you still want to change the world?"哪吒replied, "I want to try." That line is priceless, because nowadays, many American superhero and sci-fi movies are steeped in dystopian pessimism, stemming from American culture elites' inability to imagine an alternative future that is worth pursuing. This should not hinder the rest of us from boldly contemplating a post-hegemony world.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧！偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧！